Namaste. Aloha. Welcome to another Christian storybook reading. My name is Janapati Das, and we are going to chant Krishna's names right now before we read our story tonight. So thank you for joining in tonight. Krishna Prastaya Okay, Haribo. Welcome back to another Krishna book reading. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we have been reading about the introduction to the Rasa dance with the Gopis and Krishna. And Gopis, of course, had come in the desire to have Krishna as their husband, enjoy in the forest and dance and joke with him. And they escaped at night to go out and see him. And Krishna, of course, had gone through the arguments of like, well, it's dangerous to be out here. It's not appropriate for you to be out here. There's tigers, and it's also, as women, young girls, it's not real appropriate for you to be here. And yada, yada, yada. And Krishna, of course, the Gopis were chastised Krishna, saying, you know, we've risked everything to be here. Please don't kick us away. And so that's where we left off of. And I'm trying to remember. Okay. Dear Krishna, as women, we are certainly satisfied when our hearts are engaged in the activities of family affair, but our hearts have already been stolen by you. We can no longer engage them in family affairs. Besides that, you are asking us to repeatedly to return home, and that is very appropriate instruction, but unfortunately we have been stunned here. Our legs have no power to move a step from your lotus feet. Therefore, if even at your request we return home, what shall we do there? We have lost our capacity to act without you. Instead of engaging our hearts in family affairs as women, we have now developed a different type of lust, which is continually blazing in our hearts. Now we request you, dear Krishna, to extinguish that fire with your beautiful smile, and the transcendental vibration emanating from your lips. So the lust, the desire to enjoy Krishna as a paramour or as a child, or this kind of lust is natural in the spiritual world. In the material world, it's perverted. The lust is actually love. It's true love in the spiritual world. In the material world, it's lust, and it's contaminating. If you do not agree to do us this favor, we shall certainly be burned in the fire of separation. In that condition, we shall simply think of you and your beautiful features and give up our bodies immediately. In that way, we think it will be possible for us to reside at your lotus feet in the next life. And so I think we'd read about this a little bit previously, about the Gopis who could not get away from their family members, and they just thought of Krishna and meditated upon Krishna and gave up their body there and went back to Krishna. Dear Krishna, if you say that if we go home, our respective husbands will satisfy the lusty flame of our desire, we can only say that that is no longer possible. You have given us a chance to be enjoyed by you in the forest, and have touched our breasts once in the past, which we accepted as a blessing, as did the goddesses of fortune who are enjoyed in the Vaikuntha Lokas by you. Since we have tasted this transcendental enjoyment, we are no longer interested in going to anyone but you for the satisfaction of our lust. Dear Krishna, the lotus feet of the goddess of fortune are always worshipped by the demigods, although she is always resting on your chest in the Vaikuntha planets. She underwent great austerity and penance to have some shelter at your lotus feet, which are always covered by tulasi leaves. Your lotus feet are the proper shelter of your servitors. And the goddess of fortune, instead of abiding on your chest, comes down and worships your lotus feet. We have now placed ourselves under the dust of your feet. Please do not reject us, for we are fully surrendered souls. Dear Krishna, you are known as Hari. You destroy all the miseries of all living entities, specifically of those who have left their homes and family attachment and have completely taken to you. We have left our homes with the hope that we shall completely devote and dedicate our lives to your service. We are simply begging to be engaged as your servants. We do not wish to ask you to accept us as your wives. Simply accept us as your maidservants, since you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead and like to enjoy the Parakya Rasa and are famous as the Transcendental Woman Hunter. We have come to satisfy your transcendental desires. We are also after our own satisfaction, for simply by looking at your smiling face we have become very lusty. We have come before you decorated with all ornaments and dress, but until you embrace us, all our dresses and beautiful features remain incomplete. You are the supreme person. If you complete our dressing attempt as the Purusha Bhushana, or the male ornament, then all our desires and bodily decorations are complete. Dear Krishna, we have simply been captivated by seeing you with tilak and with earrings, and by seeing your beautiful face covered with scattered hair and your extraordinary smile. Not only that, but we are also attracted by your arms, which always give assurance to the surrendered souls. And although we are also attracted by your chest, which is always embraced by the goddess of fortune, we do not wish to take her position. We shall simply be satisfied by being your maidservants. If you, however, accuse us of encouraging prostitution, then we can only ask, where is that woman within these three worlds who is not captivated by your beauty and the rhythmic songs vibrated by your transcendental flute? Within these three worlds there is no distinction between men and women in relation to you, because both men and women belong to the marginal potency or prakriti. No one is actually the enjoyer or the male. Everyone is meant to be enjoyed by you. So that's an interesting point. So hypothetically, the Shakti, the Jivatmas, the living entities, are all considered to be female because they are controlled by the supreme male, which is Krishna. So they're controlled and enjoyed by Krishna. So hypothetically, we're all female in a spiritual sense. There is no woman within these three worlds who cannot but deviate from her path of chastity when she is attracted to you, because your beauty is so sublime that not only men and women, but cows, birds, beasts, and even trees, fruits, and flowers, everyone and everything becomes enchanted. And what to speak of yourself? What to speak of ourselves? It is, however, definitely decided that as Lord Vishnu is always protecting the demigods from the onslaught of demons, so you have also advented in Vrindavan, just to give the residents protection from all kinds of distress. O dear friend of the distressed, kindly place your hand on our burning breasts as well as on our heads, because we have surrendered unto you as your eternal maidservants. If you think, however, that your lotus-like palms might be burned to ashes if placed on our burning breasts, let us assure you that your palms will feel pleasure instead of pain, as the lotus flower, although very delicate and soft, enjoys the scorching heat of the sun. Upon hearing the anxious plea of the Gopis, the Supreme Personality of Godhead began to smile, and being very kind to the Gopis, the Lord, although self-sufficient, began to embrace them and kiss them as they desired. When Krishna, smiling, looked at the faces of the Gopis, the beauty of their faces became 100 times enhanced. When he was enjoying them in their midst, he appeared just like the full moon surrounded by millions of shining stars. Thus the Supreme Personality of Godhead, surrounded by hundreds of Gopis and decorated with a flower garland of many colors, began to wander within the Vrindavan forest, sometimes singing to himself and sometimes singing with the Gopis. In this way, both the Lord and the Gopis reached the cool sandy bank of the Jamuna, where there were lilies and lotus flowers. In such a transcendental atmosphere, both the Gopis and Krishna began to enjoy one another. While they were walking on the bank of the Jamuna, Krishna would sometimes put his arm around a Gopi's head, breast, or waist, pinching one another and joking and looking at one another. They enjoyed. When Krishna touched the bodies of the Gopis, their lust to embrace him increased. They all enjoyed these pastimes. Thus the Gopis were blessed with all mercy by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for they enjoyed his company without a tinge of mundane sex life. The Gopis, however, soon began to feel very proud, thinking themselves to be the most fortunate women in the universe by being favored by the company of Krishna. Lord Krishna, who was known as Keshava, could immediately understand their pride, caused by their great fortune of enjoying him personally, and in order to show them his causeless mercy and to curb their false pride, he immediately disappeared from the scene, exhibiting his opulence of renunciation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always full with 6 kinds of opulences, and this is an instance of the opulence of renunciation. This renunciation confirms Krishna's total non-attachment. He is always self-sufficient and is not dependent on anything. This is the platform on which the transcendental pastimes are enacted. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 29th chapter of Krishna, the Rasa Dance Introduction. And so keep going. Chapter 30, Krishna is hiding from the Gopis. When Krishna suddenly disappeared from the company of the Gopis, they began to search for him in every place. After not finding him anywhere, they became afraid and almost mad after him. They were simply thinking of the pastimes of Krishna with great love and affection. Being absorbed in thought, they experienced loss of memory, and with dampened eyes they began to see the very pastimes of Krishna, his beautiful talks with them, his embracing, kissing, and other activities. Being so attracted to Krishna, they began to imitate his dancing, his walking and smiling, as if they themselves were Krishna. Due to Krishna's absence, they all became crazy. Each one of them began to tell the others that she was Krishna himself. Soon they all began to assemble together and chant Krishna's name very loudly, and they moved from one part of the forest to another searching for him. Actually, Krishna is all pervasive. He is in the sky and he is in the forest. He is within the heart and he is always everywhere. The Gopis therefore began to question the trees and the plants about Krishna. There were various types of big trees and small plants in the forest, and the Gopis began to address them. Dear banyan tree, have you seen the son of Maharaj Nanda passing this way, laughing and playing on his flute? He has stolen our hearts and has gone away. If you have seen him, kindly inform us which way he has gone. Dear Ashoka tree, dear Naga flower tree, and Champaka flower tree, have you seen the younger brother of Balaram pass this way? He has disappeared because of our pride. The Gopis were aware for the reason for Krishna. Mosquito. The Gopis were aware of the reason of Krishna's suddenly disappearance. They could understand that when they were enjoying Krishna, they thought themselves to be the most fortunate women within the universe. And since they were feeling proud, Krishna disappeared immediately just to curb their pride. Krishna does not like his devotees to be proud of their service to him. He accepts everyone's service, but he does not like one devotee to be prouder than others. Sometimes, if there are such feelings, Krishna ends them by changing his attitude towards the devotee. So, like as Lord Chaitanya prayed in his prayer, one should be more tolerant than a tree, lower than the grass in the street, and ready to offer all respects to others. So, this attitude of humbleness and not feeling yourself to be better than others, Krishna doesn't like it when devotees, actually, if a devotee of Krishna is acting proud and thinking himself to be better, that is actually a case of false ego. So Krishna doesn't actually like that, and doesn't. It's not a way to be able to receive the possible transcendental knowledge from your spiritual master, or to be in such a proud attitude. The Gopis then begin to address the Tulasi plants. Dear Tulasi, you are much beloved by Lord Krishna because your leaves are always at his lotus feet. Dear Malati flower, dear Malika flower, dear Jasmine flower, all of you must have been touched by Krishna while he was passing this way after giving us transcendental enjoyment. Have you seen Madhava passing this way? O mango trees, O trees of jackfruit, O pear trees, O asana trees, O blackberries and bael trees, and trees of kandamba flower, you are all very pious trees to be living on the bank of the Jamuna. Krishna must have passed through this way. Will you kindly let us know which way he has gone? The Gopis then looked upon the ground they were traversing and began to address the earth. Dear earthly planet, we do not know how many penances and austerities you have undergone to be now living with the footprints of Lord Krishna upon you. You are very jolly. The hairs on your body are these jubilant trees and plants. Lord Krishna must have been very much pleased with you. Otherwise, how could he embraced you in the form of Varaha, the boar? When you were submerged in water, he delivered you, taking the whole weight of his existence on his trunk, on his tusks. So in this story of the incarnation of Varaha, Krishna incarnated as Varaha because there were the two demoniac brothers that were Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, who were actually in the Srimad Bhagavatam story of gatekeepers. And that's a whole nother story. But basically they had done something that had offended some devotees, and they were forced to take incarnations as become demons to Krishna, against Krishna in their next lives. And so Hiranyaksha was a great demon, and he was always very angry, very, very angry, and he was looking around because he was very powerful, and he would take on all these demigods, and nobody wanted to fight him. And of course, he came to this point of wanting to fight the Varuna, right? He came to Varuna and said, "Come on, old man, I'll fight you." And Varuna was like, "No, if you want someone to fight you, you should seek out Lord Vishnu." And so he said, "Oh, I'll fight Lord Vishnu." And of course, in the process of the situation of Hiranyaksha causing problems in the universe, the Earth planet got spun out of orbit and ended up in the Garbhodaka ocean. It's the bottom of the universe, right? And so it sank. And so Varaha, one of the things he did besides killing Hiranyaksha was also to go and save the Earth planet. And he dove down into the water and he rescued it with his tusks. So that's what they were talking about here. After addressing the innumerable trees and plants, they turned their faces towards the beautiful deer, who were looking on them very pleasingly. It appears, they addressed the deer, that Krishna, who is the supreme Narayan himself, must have passed through this way along with his companion, Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. Otherwise, how is it possible that the aroma of his garland, which is smeared with the red kumkuma from the breast of the goddess of fortune, can be perceived in the breeze blowing here? It appears that they must have passed through here, touched your bodies, and thus you are feeling so pleasant and are looking towards us, which way Krishna has gone. Looking towards us with sympathy. Will you kindly therefore inform us which way Krishna has gone? Krishna is the well-wisher of Vrindavan. He is as kind to you as to us. Therefore, after leaving us, he must have been present in your company. O fortunate trees, we are thinking of Krishna, the younger brother of Balaram. While passing through here, with one hand resting on the shoulder of the goddess of fortune and the other hand whirling a lotus flower, he must have been very pleased to accept your obeisances, and he must have glanced at you with great pleasure. Some of the gopis then began to address their other gopi friends. Dear friends, why don't you question these creepers who are so jubilantly embracing the big trees as if the trees were their husbands? It appears that the flowers of the creepers must have been touched by the nails of Krishna. Otherwise, how could they feel so jubilant? After searching for Krishna here and there, when the gopis became fatigued, they began to talk like mad women. They could only satisfy themselves by imitating the different pastimes of Krishna. One of them imitated the demon Putana, and one of them imitated Krishna and sucked her breast. One gopi imitated a hand-driven cart, and another gopi lay down beneath the cart and began to throw up her legs, touching the wheels of the cart, as Krishna did to kill the demon Shakatasura. They imitated child Krishna lying down on the ground, and one gopi became the demon Trinavarta and carried the small child Krishna by force into the sky. And one of the gopis began to imitate Krishna, and while he was attempting to walk, ringing his ankle bells. Two gopis imitated Krishna and Balaram, and many others imitated their cowherd boyfriends. One gopi assumed the form of Bakasura, and another forced her to fall down, as the demon Bakasura did when he was killed. Similarly, another gopi defeated Vachasura. Just as Krishna used to call his cows by their different names, so the gopis imitated him, calling the cows by their respective names. One of the gopis began to play on a flute, and another praised the way Krishna's boyfriends praised him while he played on his flute. One of the gopis took another gopi on her shoulders, just as Krishna used to take his boyfriends. Absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, the gopi who was carrying her friend began to boast that she was Krishna herself. All of you, just see my movement. One of the gopis raised her hand with the covering garments and said, "Now, don't be afraid of the torrents of rain and severe hurricanes. I'll save you." In this way, she imitated the lifting of Govardhan Hill. One gopi forcibly put her feet on the head of another gopi and said, "You rascal Kaliya, I shall punish you severely. You must leave this place. I have descended on this earth just to punish all kinds of miscreants." Another gopi told her friends, "Just see, the flames of the forest fire are coming to devour us. Please close your eyes, and I shall immediately save you from this imminent danger." In this way, all the gopis were madly feeling the absence of Krishna. They inquired for him from the trees and plants. In some places they found the imprints of the marks of the sole of his feet, namely the flag, the lotus flower, the trident, the thunderbolt, etc. After seeing those footprints, they exclaimed, "Oh, here is the impression of the marks on the soul of Krishna." All the marks, such as the flag, the lotus flower, the trident, and the thunderbolt, are distinctly visible here. They began to follow the footprints, and shortly they saw another set of footprints besides them, and immediately they became very sorry. "Dear friends, just see, whose are these other footprints? They are beside the footprints of the son of Maharaj Nanda. It is certainly Krishna passing through, resting his hand on some other gopi, exactly as an elephant goes side by side with his beloved mate. We must therefore understand that this particular gopi served Krishna with greater affectionate love than ourselves. Because of this, although he has left us, he could not leave her company. He has now taken her along with him. Dear friends, just imagine how the dust of this place is transcendently glorious. The dust of the lotus feet of Krishna is worshipped even by Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva and the goddess of fortune Lakshmi. But at the same time, we are very sorry that this particular gopi has gone along with Krishna, for she is sharing the nectar of Krishna's kisses and leaving us aside to lament. Oh friends, just see, at this particular spot, we do not see the footprints of that gopi. It appears that because there were some pinpricks from the dried grass, Krishna took Radharani on his shoulder. Oh, she is so dear to him. Krishna must have picked some flowers in this spot to satisfy Radharani, because here, where he stood erect to get the flowers from the high branches of the tree, we find only half an impression of his feet. Dear friends, just see how Krishna must have sat down here with Radharani and tried to set flowers in her hair. You can be certain that both of them sat together here. Krishna is self-sufficient. He has nothing to enjoy from any other source. Yet just to satisfy his devotee, he has treated Radharani exactly as a lusty boy treats his girlfriend. Krishna is so kind that he always tolerates the disturbances created by his girlfriends. In this way, all the gopis began to point out the faults of the particular gopi who had been taken alone by Krishna. They began to say that the chief gopi, Radharani, who was taken alone by Krishna, must be very proud of her position, thinking herself the greatest of the gopis. Yet how could Krishna take her away alone, leaving all of us aside, unless she be extraordinarily qualified and beautiful? She must have taken Krishna in the deep forest and told him, "My dear Krishna, I am now very tired. I cannot go any further. Please carry me wherever you like." When Krishna was spoken to in this way, he might have told Radharani, "All right, better get on my shoulder." But immediately Krishna must have disappeared, and now Radharani must be lamenting for him. "My dear lover, my dearest, you are so fine and so powerful. Where have you gone?" "I have nothing but your most obedient maidservant. I am very much aggrieved. Please come and be with me again." Krishna, however, is not coming to her. He must be watching her from a distant place and enjoying her sorrow. All the gopis then went further and further into the forest, searching out Krishna, but when they learned that actually Radharani was left alone by Krishna, they became very sorry. This is the test of Krishna consciousness. In the beginning, they were a little envious that Krishna had taken Radharani alone, leaving aside all other gopis. But as soon as they knew that Krishna had also left Radharani and that she was alone lamenting for him, they became more sympathetic to her. The gopis found Radharani and heard everything from her about how she misbehaved with Krishna and how she was proud and was insulted for her pride. After hearing all this, they actually became very sympathetic. Then all the gopis, including Radharani, began to proceed further into the forest until they could no longer see the moonlight. When they saw that it was getting gradually darker, they stopped. Their mind and intelligence became absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. They all imitated the activities of Krishna and his speeches. Due to their heart and soul being completely given to Krishna, they began to chant his glories, completely forgetting their family interests. In this way, all the gopis assembled together on the bank of the Jamuna and expecting that Krishna must return to them. They simply engaged in the chanting of the glories of Sri Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 30th chapter of Krishna. Krishna's hiding from the gopis. And so we're going to save, this is so exciting. We're going to save this next chapter for next time. So we'll just chant some now. Thank you very much. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Haribol. So that's all for today. We'll see you next class. Thank you very much. Namaste.